Coming up here on Tennessee Titans today, we're going to be looking at Amani Hooker, and could he potentially get a massive extension? Also, near the back end of today's show, we have some quarterback situations, and we're going to look at some grades because USA Today handed out grades for all 32 teams. Find out what they think of the quarterback room. And then, to wrap up this show, CBS ranked every single NFL head coach from 32 down to 1. I want you to find out where Mike Vrabel ended up on the list. Let's go to the first story, though, and maybe one of the biggest reasons why I ended up clicking on the video. Amani Hooker, safety for the Tennessee Titans, drafted in the 4th round, and there's been a very good player for Vrabel and company. There's been a report circulating over the last month, and it's been confirmed by Hooker that him and the Titans have had multiple discussions about a potential extension. It does sound like that this isn't that much of a big-time rush because the Titans want to keep Amani around. Hooker wants to remain in Tennessee. So the fact that he's entering his 4th year, the fact that he's going to be a free agent in 2023, these are the type of players where when you can sprout out, when you can show that, hey, even though you didn't invest in me too much early on, being a 4th-round pick, he was great as a sophomore. He was great in year 3, really, really good actually in year 3. Can you get even better going into your 4th season? So here's your opportunity. Make the call, type E for extend. Or if you don't think that they should give him that extra contract, then hey, it's all good. Type D. Also, any chance I get to get ED on a screen, I'm going to try to do it, especially when you're talking about Hooker. So should the Titans give Amani Hooker an extension? Type E for extend or D for don't. My answer is yes, you're going to give Hooker that contract extension. And I've been to Nashville on a bunch of bachelor parties. You can do a lot of stuff with the Hooker. Now, that's totally besides the point. What is important, though, is he is a young player entering his 4th season. And from what I saw growth. Yeah, when you're a rookie, you deal with a lot of other stuff. When you look at his 2020 numbers, and this is why I don't always want you guys to look at the numbers, because 51 tackles, 8 PBUs, 4 interceptions, those are very productive numbers. But honestly, when I go back and I look, and PFF agrees with me on this, that 2021 was by far his best season. Yes, he had 62 tackles. Yes, 4 PBUs, 1 interception. But he had an overall grade of 83.3. That was one of the highest amongst all safeties in the National Football League. Run defense grade, 75.2. Pass rush grade, 63.0. But the most important grade that PFF gives out, at least in my opinion, when you look at defensive backs, whether that's a corner, whether that's a safety, in today's NFL, I want guys that can cover. And Hooker's a good coverage safety with an 83.4 overall grade. What's interesting about a potential deal for him is how much are you going to give him? Because the Pittsburgh Steelers not too long ago made Micah Fitzpatrick the highest paid safety in the National Football League, giving him $18.40 million per year. Personally, I think Hooker's a lot more versatile than Jamal Adams because Adams can't cover it all, but Seattle gave up 2 first-round picks, so you know they had to pay them. Harrison Smith's getting older. I think Justin Simmons is a hell of a safety. Budda Baker's obviously very, very impressive. But after seeing those top 5 numbers, my next question to you, and for those of you that maybe don't know who we are here at Titans Today, for those of you that don't know what Chat Sports is about, we provide content, whether that be news or rumors. We break it down, give you the analysis on it, and I'll chime in with my 2 cents. But what makes us different is the interaction. So if I ask you a question, take 5 seconds. Talk to me. I want this to be a 2-way conversation, like you and I are sitting down having some drinks, sitting down having a little bit of food. So why for yes and for no, does Amani Hooker deserve to be a top 5 paid safety? If the Titans, and I should say when the Titans give Hooker his new deal, whether he is a top 5 safety or whether he's not, we are going to make a video. And I'm going to pat myself on the back, but I'm also going to give a shout out to a lot of the Titans fans out there because about a week ago, we were 75% not subscribed. As you can see, that number is changing rather quickly. And to make sure that you guys continue to watch our shows and to take advantage of this free content, hit that subscribe button. We try to drop a video every single day when there is big-time news. We cover it for you. On top of that, we see the commenters, we see our new subscribers, and we see the people who support the show. So, if you have been one of the new subscribers, major shout out to y'all. So, shout out to Sue, Dale, David, Robert, and Penny. If you want to see your name and, I guess, YouTube avatar on a future show, hit that subscribe button. Coming up next here on Titans Today, Titans quarterback, and I'm going to give you a little bit of head coaching analysis. Remember, we have overall grades from USA Today, breaking down some of these tight end rooms, and then on top of that, head coach analysis in terms of CBS ranked every single coach from 32 down to 1. I'll tell you what those guys had to say. I'll tell you what they had to say about Tannehill, about Malik Willis, about Mike Vrabel. But we are going to kick this one off with the USA Today article that was released grading quarterback situations for all NFL teams heading into the 2022 season. The Titans grade was a C+, and I went through and I looked at a lot of the teams. I went through and I looked at a lot of the grades. C+ in this article was actually kind of close to average. Tannehill definitely needs to make a little bit better of a playoff run, and on top of that, needs to show that he can play in the playoffs. For a short amount of time, right, Tannehill starts his career off with Miami, doesn't go well, ends up coming over to Tennessee, and for a 2-year stretch, I was like, wow, Tannehill might be totally resurrecting his career. I mean, it was incredible to see what he did. But last season, yes, they had a lot of injuries to A.J. Brown. Yes, a lot of injuries to Julio Jones. He didn't have a lot of his options. Derrick Henry got banged up. But in that playoff game, and I think every person would admit, hell, that first throw that ended up being an interception, he kind of looked scared. And if you have a quarterback in your huddle that not everybody's confident around, what exactly does that mean going forward? I think it means that Malik Willis is going to be your future. That's all I got to say. So this is what USA Today had to say on the Titans quarterback situation. The fuse, is burning, and so probably is his temper on Ryan Tannehill. He needs to deliver a deep playoff run in 2022. Malik Willis is the future in waiting. Logan Woodside is just waiting for direct deposit checks to continue landing in his bank account. And you're right. I know what the quarterback depth chart says, and Woodside probably at this current moment would be listed as the QB2 for the simple fact of he's been there before. But there's no doubt. I thought Malik Willis was a round 1 talent. Hell, there were people that thought Willis could go in the top 6. He ends up sliding all the way down to the 3rd round. Tannehill's been a good game manager, but Willis, upside to me, there's a lot of legit upside there. So when you look at this Titans quarterback room, USA Today gave them a C+. What would you grade it? And I'm going to give my grade here in just a second. I'm a little bit more of a difficult grader. Like A to me is amazing, B is good, C is average, D is bad, F is fail. But what would you give the Titans quarterback situation? I'm going to go B-, and I do think that they are average, maybe slightly below. Like, it's good. Don't get me wrong. I know Tannehill can be efficient. And when he has a good running game, he's got a lot of pieces around him. He can be an efficient quarterback that you can win games with. But I also really, really like Malik Willis. And to me, he's one of those quarterbacks where we could go look maybe 3-4 years down the road and be like, man, you should have drafted him a lot earlier. I don't want to throw out the Russell Wilson comp because Wilson and Willis are different quarterbacks. But Wilson did slide down the board, and obviously he turned out to be a very good QB. Willis, though, does give me that feeling where a few years down the road, you're like, yeah, he should have went higher in the draft. Now, if you haven't already, join the Noti Gang. What are you waiting for? Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you turn on those notifications. And what is the Noti Gang? The Noti Gang is the people that pride themselves on trying to be one of the very first people to comment on every video. And these are the people that we get to know the best because when I push out a video, I refresh it, and then I see the people who are commenting. I then start to remember all of y'all's names. So I know you get to see us here, but I want to get to know you guys too. So try to join the Noti Gang. Spam Titans, spam Tighten Up, spam Noti Gang. I don't care what it is. Just try to be one of the very first people to do it. So we released a video on July 14th, and here were the top 5 people that responded first. Shout out to a.k.a. Bofa, Big Bub 215, Rave _ Ben Wheeler, Sports and Dorks Productions. Y'all are real ones. Thanks for joining the Noti Gang. Let's go to the final story here on Titans Today. And where does Mike Vrabel rank? CBS released their head coach rankings where they went from 32 all the way down to 1. Before I show you where Vrabel ended up in all 32 rankings, here's your opportunity to look into that crystal ball and let me know where you would rank Vrabel. And I do think shows like this are a lot about honesty, right? We talked about Amani Hooker. We talked about the quarterback room. Now you're going to go to the head coach. I'm always honest with you, so here's your opportunity to be honest with me. Rate it from 1 to 32. 1, he's the best head coach in the NFL. 32, he's the worst head coach in the NFL. Where exactly does Vrabel rank? Well, I hate to break it to you, he didn't land in the top 8. Here are the top 8 head coaches, according to CBS. Andy Reid, Sean McVay, Bill Belichick. This is the lowest I've seen Bill, which, I can get it. I also don't really get it, but hey, it's all good. Mike Tomlin at 4, John Harbaugh, Sean McDermott, top 6. Matt LaFleur, Pete Carroll. Well, surely Vrabel has to be in the top 10, right? Yeah, no, he is. He is coming in, though, at 10. What I do see in this list is CBS was afraid to rank coaches who were first-year head coaches very high, which doesn't really surprise me, though. Doug Peterson, yes, he has some past experience, comes in at number 11 on the list, which I thought was a little bit high, especially because there's other coaches that have past experience as well. And then to round out the bottom 8, Josh McDaniels with the Raiders at 25, and Matt Eberflus coming over here for Chicago. And then at number 32, it's Lovie Smith. So when you think about a lot of the conversations in all of this, a lot of times I like to know, well, what did CBS have to say? This is what they had to say about Vrabel and why he came in at number 10. Is he a football guy stereotype, sporting the tough guy image while leaning on the physicality of a heavy run game and front-loaded defense? Yes. Does it work? Yes. Vrabel is still chasing true postseason results and may keep chasing them until a higher upside playmaker emerges under center. But his squad is basically a lock to beat you up, be in the playoff picture by year's end. He's matched or improved his win total every year since taking the job. Personally, I think Vrabel is one of my favorite coaches out there because you see a player from a young career standpoint get better and better from a player as a linebacker. Then he becomes a head coach, and he does. He brings that physicality, but you can also tell that he has fun. And if I was a player, I would want to have fun. And yes, you have to win in order to have fun, and he's done that. But I think a lot of people, when he first took that job with Tennessee, nobody thought that he would have the success that he's had. And he's been a good disciple. He's been, in a solid coaching tree. 5 seasons, 41 wins, 24 losses. That's a solid win percentage, but it's the playoffs. At the end of the day, as a head coach, you get remembered, and even a player, what you do in the playoffs. And a 2-3 record in the playoffs, not great. So that's the end of today's show. It is Friday around here at the Chat Sports Studios. I appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end. If you made it to the end and y'all are ready to celebrate the weekend, I want you to spam weekend in the comments right now.